welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host, as always, for episode 402, and I am joined by just such a wonderful group of gentlemen, like Mick Fraser.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm grand, mate. I was going to start then by saying something potentially inappropriate, but we'll save that until perhaps, the YouTube has been monetized, and, or maybe we should save that for Adam Carroll. How are you, Ads?
I'm wonderful, and I never say anything inappropriate.
Never?
Look, we all got to turn over a new leaf, don't we?
If he says it, it becomes appropriate. That's just how it works.
Okay. Well, someone who is very slowly, or actually very quickly, becoming the posh lad of God is a Geek, Christopher Hyde. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm great, mate. I would just want. Should I introduce the gang to your new nickname? Because obviously Mick knows it. Oh my word, that face says you shut your fucking mouth right now, or I'm going to cut you. We won't talk about
posh.
Chris's new nickname.
Yeah, that's what posh means where we come from. Yeah, I'm going to cut you.
I'm going to cut. Yeah. I called him posh lad, and then I'm saying he's going to threaten to slice my. Yeah, how are you, Chris? You good, mate? You're right. Sorry, I did just wait until you started taking a drink, then before I started to speak.
It's good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm just hot, but it's been hot, so yeah.
It's been outrageous. But just because we're a pod based in the British Isles, we should not spend too long talking about the weather. But we are going to change it up slightly this week because where we normally talk about games, we sort of can't because everyone's playing something they can't talk about. We will talk about The Last of Us again, and if you don't want to hear it, I mean, there's probably a button there that's stop. But you shouldn't press that. You should listen to it. We won't be spoiling it, but we are going to be doing a spoiler cast relatively soon. I think we've got 3 people who finished it now. Waiting for a 4th, maybe. Chris or Mick, no pressure. If you could just play games in your spare time, that would be great.
Try and squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Just, it's only, 25, 30 hours would be fine. But there's been a few reveals. Well, not reveals as such, more just there's been like a couple of little showcases because we're still in E3 season, or what is now becoming the protracted E3 month, where people are doing their own thing. We still have Ubisoft at some point doing a thing, but Square Enix showed us a bit more of... What's it called? Just Marvel Avengers?
Is it just Marvel Avengers, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely not going to be a complicated thing.
Marvel's
Search
Avengers.
engine, that's going to be fine.
Straight off the bat, I think they're right to just call it this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Avengers
right
Resemble. That's what they should call it.
Avengers Resemble.
I think that was my
Thank you for the
tagline,
podcast
actually, when I wrote about it.
Well, I'm taking that.
I think I've used it. I think I used it already.
I don't care. I don't remember it. So I'll just be the one to say it. What I've seen of this game, I was like, probably not for me, even though I like the Avengers.
Agreed.
This was a good showing. This was a really good showing because we know what this game is now. And looking at Mick Fraser, it's as though they designed the game to just inject directly into your... No, it's too early for that joke. Veins. Let's go for veins.
Yeah, let's inject it into my veins. Let's not go anywhere else.
Okay.
They did. I wasn't interested to begin with, I'd be honest.
No one was. Well, I don't think anyone was, if I'm honest with you.
Everybody had a problem with the plasticine faces. Like, that weird...
I still do. I'm going to say...
People have problems with games? Yeah. Wow.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It happens.
Don't
what can you do?
Penis in a hornet's nest while it's covered in honey. Isn't that the saying?
What took you?
Where do I stick it when
penis?
It's covered in honey?
Blame it.
I'm asking for a friend.
Sorry, I just really like the way Adam said penis. And it tickled me in a way that I shouldn't to a nearly 40-year-old man.
His penis tickled you, or...?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. We were in the same room. The decor's just different for those watching on YouTube. Mick, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's probably an easy question to answer, rather. Is Marvel Avengers 2020, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC, probably Stadia, unlikely Switch, just Destiny for Avengers fans?
Looks like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
That's why I'm in. I wasn't to begin with, because like I said, like everybody, plasticine faces, we weren't happy with that, and I still have my reservations about them. But then I thought, well, you know what? I got used to Peter Parker's face in Marvel Spider-Man. That wasn't a big deal. Yeah. As much as I love Tom Holland's face, I got and Andrew Garfield's and but I got used to it, so I figure we'll get used to this. But yeah, when the reveal the other night was just, I thought, yeah, I mean it's just loot and costumes and powers and unlocks and.
I don't want to be that guy, right? But and I can't help fixating on this, and I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate, but I think I really do. It does bother me, right? So this game actually is now on my radar. I don't know about Chris and Adam if it was before or if it is now, but why because they showed all the skins and stuff, and that looks really cool as well, like really cool, and it seems like there's not going to be anything microtransaction about them. Why then why didn't they take the opportunity to just change the character design so it doesn't look like a dime store version of Thor?
Yeah, I wish they'd done that.
I just don't get it. Why not just
they are
do what
such
they did in Spider-Man?
generic faces. It's so generic. It's so like Black Widow just looks like, and I hate to put it like this, but she just looks like some random woman off the street.
What's the other character they showed? The one that I don't think they showed before. Before there was another one.
Kamala Khan. What's her name?
The one with the big elasticy fists.
Yeah, Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realise that was her because I caught the sort of stream a little bit way through. At one point, because of the sort of generic look of the characters, I wasn't sure if that was the same character. Like the Miss Marvel and I wasn't sure if they was the same person.
The Tony Stark one just looks shocking. It just looks like some random carny dude who's just like
sort of Patrick Bateman style.
Yeah, it just looks like a college lecturer who's just wandered in and they've slapped an Iron Man costume on him. It's just not very good.
Adam Carroll, big movie fan.
Adam Cook. Yes, I am.
You look so unenthused about Marvel Avengers.
Yeah. Like,
really.
I'll be honest. I think the idea of this game is sound enough. I think for Avengers fans, I think this is like, look, if you're a diehard Avengers fan, I think is this not the way you'd want a game like, to be? I think the perk system, all that jazz that they're bringing in, the Destiny kind of side of it, if we're going to call it that, I think it suits it well enough. For me, as somebody who, I'm not really an Avengers fan at all. I think what would sell me on this is if someone said to me, "Oh, it feels amazing. Like the combat is just so addictive, it's so much fun, and all the looting and stuff like that, or if there is, or just getting the buffs and upgrades and suit stuff is all amazing." But for me, I don't think that's going to be the case regarding the equipment and stuff, because I think all that stuff is once again for the fans. Like, I can't see me just going, "Oh, brilliant, I got this suit," when it could probably mean everything to an Avengers fan, but to me, I'd be like, "Oh, that looks cool." So like, it looks okay. Like it looks cool enough. Like seeing Thor flying around the gaff, all that kind of jazz. That looks entertaining. But I don't know. It's right now. If that came out to 10s and all that stuff, I'd be like, "All right, I better give it a shot." Do you know? But right now,
It's not going to come out to 10s. I'm going to predict that now. It's not coming out.
Yeah, and that to me is kind of like, it's a part of like video game development that I'm kind of just, I suppose it's a bit of a different topic, but I'm kind of like, I hate being able to predict that kind of thing. Like, I'd like, it sucks because we haven't even touched it, and we already can personally feel that the game might come out to like probably 8s. Maybe 9s.
Yeah, he's got a point.
And listen, and I want to clarify straight off the bat, that is a great game.
Fine
like,
game.
That is a great game.
It's a fine game we haven't played yet, and no one has.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm only speaking solely for this game. Like, not every game has to be a 10 out of 10. It's just, for me, Avengers needs to get high scores for me, the non-Avengers fan, to play.
Chris Hyde.
Yeah.
Strange. The thing is, right, I get what Adam's saying, and how and Mick's agreeing it won't be probably not 10s. We don't know. By the way, we genuinely haven't played it. I think they're doing a beta soon. I think, and I'd be very interested to try that. But again, that makes me think of Destiny. Anyway, strange time for the game to come out though. Like, I know it's going to be smart delivery or whatever PS5's calling it now as well, but like, it's coming out very near new consoles, and it's a game as a service, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say about the timing actually, because I kind of feel like with the fact that obviously we're in coronavirus situation, lockdown, everything, cinemas aren't around, no films coming out. Normally we'd have had Black Widow by now. People like me who go and watch every Marvel film in the cinema without fail, because I'm a geek, would have already had a Marvel fix already this year. And I feel like there's something to say around the fact that I actually really want this game because I'm kind of craving Marvel.
Yeah,
that haven't
yeah.
actually had anything since Endgame. And actually, there's it's one of those weird things that actually, like, soon I can play that game, and that's going to be a Marvel hit for me that I haven't had for quite a while.
Spider-Man, what, the month after Miles Morales, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's going to be quite a Marvel. It's kind of now I think about it, it's kind of clever. You wonder how much Marvel had an influence on that, because obviously.
Lockdown?
No, but like you've just said, they would normally have had another film by now, or very soon.
Isn't Black Widow around that time though? Isn't Black Widow like October time now?
Well, if that's the case, then you will literally have.
So they're kind of hitting you with Marvel. Yeah, which is a great way to, because it's a great way to get it back in everyone's minds.
Oh, people haven't forgot about Marvel, Mick, don't you?
No, you know what I'm saying.
Front of mind.
I haven't forgot about Marvel. I'm sitting here hankering for.
No, and I was literally thinking about how I want to rewatch Into the Spider-Verse again, because I've only seen it the once, and
amazing.
It seems like I would. When I watched that film, a tangent here, but when I watched that film, it was so hyped. It was that thing of like when I watched Breaking Bad, it's like it's definitely good, but it could never live up to the actual hype of it. And I'd love to watch I've got the Blu-ray. I might watch that again now, a bit removed from it, so I feel like I can enjoy it without the pressure of this is so amazing, you have to watch it, it's that good. It's like okay. So there was another reveal we should talk about. I don't know where to start. Should we start with you, Adam? Yep. Did you watch all of the what was it called? Is it Night City?
Night City Wire.
Yeah. Did you watch all of it? Have you caught up on trailers?
I didn't watch all of it solely because I just didn't want to watch all of it. Like I want to keep a bit of this, and there is, don't get me wrong, there'll be a lot of this game, but I watched a fair chunk of just a bit more than what we had already seen. Such as like correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we saw up until this point vehicles.
We knew there were vehicles.
We knew there were vehicles, but like, did we see the car driving around the city and stuff?
Yes, I want to say we had. It was one. It looked kind of Back to the Future-esque, but I think it was a cutscene.
Didn't see it.
I think it was a cutscene.
Okay, so look, here's the thing. This game looks bright and colourful and super neon and all that jazz. I am saying the same thing as I said when I saw that when they revealed the first time round. You can never judge these kinds of games off of this kind of footage. Like the stories, we know full well of what CD Projekt Red have done with the Witcher series. We know how deep they go with character development, side quests, all that jazz. The feel of this game alone is it's going to be so different. It's going to be so different to what we're used to in the likes of The Witcher, which is a franchise that it doesn't feel amazing. It's definitely something they have to, like, you can't play The Witcher and go, controls are tight.
That is a really interesting point, because I was literally, while I was watching this footage, thinking to myself, I think I need to play this.
Yeah,
because I watched it, and the dialogue to me, I get what they're going for, but it kind of came off as a bit cheesy and hokey to me. But will it if you're if you're in it rather than just watching a clip? And like I saw the first person combat, and it looked a little bit ropey. But again, I'm not controlling. And then I looked and I saw the shooting, and the shooting is, you can't look at that and tell me if the shooting plays good from that footage.
No, you
we
can't.
Just don't know. I feel like I need to have a bit of hands on with that game and feel
the weight of it all.
Because it just, absolutely, the weight of it, or the feel of being able to walk around that city. And I'm not saying, like, I need to absolutely review it and play 60 hours of it to know what it's about, but I just feel what they're showing, well, visually, I think it does look nice, and it's resting to look at. Like, I love the aesthetic. I quite seriously want to play it, because I just feel like, they threw out Hela in the dialogue. And again, I get they're going for that. It is set in that area. But,
that's not my bag. That's not my thing.
No, but if it works as a whole, but just seeing, like, even some of the dialogue from V, the character, like it's something, I don't know. It felt weird. It didn't. I don't know. I need to play that game. I want to play that game bad.
Yeah, like, look, I'll say straight off, like, I haven't said this since, like, yet. I don't know if you lads have been discussed here, but like the way this has been previewed, I'm going to honestly say I wasn't the biggest fan as such.
No,
but like
I mean,
the way,
no, I mean, I'm just going to go. I agree
yeah,
with that.
like I'm like okay, and like what this game is going for. There's a lot of elements within the game that I think a lot of people are very easily sold on, such as the soundtrack and the neon colors, the 80s kind of thing that's happening. And I'm just a bit like, yeah, cool. That's all well and good if you're into that stuff. I'm not saying to bash that, but I can't say that like this setting is always my thing. I love sci-fi, I love all that kind of stuff.
Blade
but
Runner.
like it's all great, and I'm sure this will be great. But there's a moment in like even in the gameplay where the character like chops off the head of some enemy, and it just felt a bit hokey or something, as if that's the word I'm going to use.
Yeah,
Like,
I really think it's something you need to feel.
yeah, and
Like you mentioned about the previews ads, and I'm not going to waylay this, and because there's no way we can really discuss the fact we didn't get to preview it without coming across as bitter. There's no way you can do that. Obviously, we'd like to preview it. And this is not like the opinion of God is a geek. I found it personally a bit disappointing that CD Projekt Red, who have always come across as like we are indie, just went with the biggest people they could find. It was literally only the world's biggest influencers in media. And that's business. That's business, and I get it. It just you don't have to do that. Certainly in this climate where we're all level, really, aren't we?
And I just want to quickly say like that, like that's my worry with this title in general, coming from The Witcher 3 especially, which is like one of my favorite games of all time, stepping away from that fantasy world. And
it's a big thing. It's a big deal for them.
Hitting this territory, which I feel is, I hope I don't cross like a knob here, but like it seems to be a game that would target the likes of influencers and stuff a lot easier than the fantasy realm. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying they're not going to get it right, but it's just like,
if there's someone I would have faith that would get a game right, it is. I'm not. I can't sit here as a critic or as just a game fan and not pretend that I'm not a big fan of CD Projekt. I am. Like I've played their games since. Again, it's going to sound like a douche. I played them since before they were big. I remember like desperately I remember upgrading my PC so it could play The Witcher 2. I remember The Witcher 2 being a game people complained about because it was so demanding on PCs. But I upgraded to play that game. I do believe in them, and I think they can make amazing games. It's a big risk. It's a calculated risk, perhaps, because they are that big now that they perhaps can't fail. But it is a big risk for them to take what they are known for and have done spectacularly well and say, now we're first person, and there's shooting, and it's a different game for them. And that excites me massively.
Mick, you're like a humongous fan of Witcher and stuff like that as well, yeah? Like, from this alone, what are you feeling now going to this? Are you like from that gameplay alone? Are you really excited? Like,
I tell you what, actually, because The Witcher is fantastic, right? The Witcher, even the first Witcher game, which not a lot of people played until I think they'd already played the second.
It was a very different game.
Yeah, it was. I played 2 until then 1.
And then because I didn't play the first Witcher, I've been reading the Witcher books on and off for years, but I wasn't interested in the game, so I wasn't a PC gamer then. When I played Witcher 2 on console, I then went back later and played Witcher 1. When Witcher 3 Wild Hunt came out, I was blown away at almost every turn with that game. But objectively speaking, as a critic, and people have written about this, The Witcher 3 wasn't perfect, right?
Mick, do you remember sorry to cut across you there, but I think that's a really interesting point. History has kind of made that game universal 10 out of 10. I think I gave it a 9, and I remember one of the reasons it's really hung in my mind about why I didn't give it the full 10, and that was an outlying score at the time. It did get 10s. Was I remember very specifically a quest where you had to find a goat, and they made a joke about the fact that they were kind of, like some fetch quest. And then you had to actually do the quest of ringing
it's
the
like
bell.
the frying pan quest, isn't it?
And I kind of remember thinking, you've got there nearly. You've made the joke, but then you've done the trope. And I don't know. I would love to see them do that, because they said in the video just recently, one of the devs said this game. I think it was it might have been the lead level designer said, literally, this game has no filler. Essentially, paraphrasing, but he said every quest is important, and I think The Witcher 3 got bloody close to that as well.
See, I remember thinking, excuse me, I remember The Witcher 3 because at the time, if you remember, was it 3 months after or 4 months after, they released a patch that changed the combat.
Yeah, the controls, the
added,
whole locomotion of it.
Changed. Yeah, so when it launched, and CD Projekt Red, it was free. Because I remember, they launch with 16 pieces of DLC that sort of released sporadically, and everyone kept saying how amazing it was.
There was a lot, yeah.
And which is good. So, and I do trust, if I was going to trust anybody with a giant open world RPG, I would trust CD Projekt. It used to be BioWare. I would have said once I would have trusted BioWare.
Yeah,
I do trust CD Projekt Red, but The Witcher 3 wasn't perfect, and I don't think CD Projekt Red kind of cut their teeth on the Witcher games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they did. I know Witcher 3 was is like a magnum opus, and it is a lot of people's favorite, one of my favorite games, but they did the Witcher games, and now they've done this. So there's nothing in between. And this is quite a jump.
They did Gwent. They did.
Thronebreaker,
The Witcher Tales.
But it's quite a different. But yeah, those are completely different kettles of fish, really. I mean, in terms of these big open world action games, they've gone from The Witcher to something very different. So on the one hand, I have absolute faith in this game, right? And I have been a little bit bitter that we didn't get a chance, not necessarily me, but we didn't get a chance to play it because we're such big fans of CD Projekt Red and the stuff they've done before.
It isn't even that for me because I don't feel that should entitle you to get access. It just, to me, is disappointing because they are such a forward-thinking kind of indie company. Yeah. And I don't do social media now, but from what I can see, it does appear they've targeted only the very biggest. And
that's business, right?
Yeah, but they don't need to do that. They don't need to do that. They're not some small indie that needs to get the IGNs posting about their game because they will anyway.
Yeah. But I mean,
again, it's impossible to not sound bitter, and I don't want this podcast to be us complaining we didn't get to preview. We have very good access, and we have lots of coverage of lots of games. One game doesn't change the world, and we'll still review it. And if we get the opportunity, we'll still preview it because we're here because we love games, and that game, I still think that game looks bloody good, and I still want to play it yesterday. You know?
Yeah, but I was I wasn't complaining. That wasn't my intention.
No, but I felt like you were going to, obviously.
No, not at all.
As the comments on YouTube have taught us, we don't want to piss off PR because that would be really bad. We'd obviously
mate, I wasn't going to say that at all.
Mick, this is literally just me using what you didn't say to make a bit out of it because you've reminded me, Mick, I need to go and get both my Ferraris cleaned. So,
But no, terrible. The point I was making was that while I trust CD Projekt Red, I do, but I have watched most of the day because I'm hyped for this game. So most of the day I've been through quite a few previews. I've been watching people's previews, watching people's opinions. And quite unanimously, what I've took away from it is that obviously it looks spectacular. Not only does it seem to look spectacular, apparently it runs incredibly well. Like people are talking upwards of 60 FPS even during the high-speed chases and things like that, and which is very impressive. But what I did notice that a lot of people said was that the problems that The Witcher 3 kind of had seem to still be the same problems that this kind of had, where people have said, some of the systems are a little bit complicated. Because I know some people had some problems with The Witcher's alchemy and things like that were... And the combat, like when The Witcher 3 launched, a lot of people didn't really like the combat. People still say it now. They still say, I love The Witcher 3, but... I fucking love the combat of The Witcher 3. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And I can never understand people who complain about it, but they do, and that's their opinion. And watching these previews earlier on, everybody kind of went for however long the preview was 20 minutes, people spent 18 minutes saying it looks amazing and it runs really well and it's so detailed and then 2 minutes going, the combat wasn't great, and there's a detective mode I don't really like, and the hacking was a little bit confusing, and it's that's the little bit they squeeze in the end. I kind of think that when this comes out and everybody finally gets the chance to play it, what I'm basically saying is I'm trying to temper my expectations a little bit because you know me, it's easy for me to get on a hype train.
Yeah.
So,
but if I offered you right now a first-person cyberpunk game that was the equivalence in terms of quality of The Witcher 3, I'd take it.
Yeah,
well
yeah,
happy with that.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
let's not kid ourselves. This is the biggest game left this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, without doubt.
Unless
Without doubt.
Nintendo pulls something out that we don't expect. Like, unless they suddenly go, oh, by the way, Mario Odyssey 2, or Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is out this year. They won't be, but just in case they do. Chris Hyde, you've been remarkably quiet. I assume it's because you can't stop thinking about how good it's going to be, and that you need to polish your Porsches.
Well, yes, but
Actually, you might really have a Porsche. I don't know.
I really don't, mate. I have a Kia, so let's
wow.
just temper that quite a lot.
He's got 7 Kias.
Yeah,
yeah, a fleet of them. I'm in a similar situation to Mick. I love The Witcher 3, and my wife is so hyped for this game, it's unreal. She's been watching everything to do with it whenever it comes out.
just drops the casual. My wife is a gamer in there.
My wife is a gamer, as well as being posh. I've got it all, living the dream. But she's put hundreds and hundreds of hours into Witcher 3. She absolutely adores it. So she's all over this. So sometimes I hear stuff from her, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm more of a fancy guy as well, but a bit like Mick, I think.
A fancy guy or a fantasy guy?
Fantasy guy.
I'm
well, both.
to get this moving.
We'll get it in.
Yep.
So I am a bit not nervous, but a bit apprehensive, I guess. Of is it going to click for me? I still think it'll be good. I still think it'll be really good. I still think I'll enjoy it, but will I come to revere it like I do The Witcher 3? I don't know. But I still can't wait for it. I still think it looks good.
The world
and
looks
it
so
looks
good.
different.
And
it looks really
so
interesting
good.
to kind of absorb yourself in it. I think that'll be really interesting. And like you say, all the characters and quests and stuff are still going to be interesting. So I'm still really looking forward to it. It's just whether it will be that one that I look back on and go, that was one of my games of the generation, like I do for The Witcher 3. I don't know, but that's what I've got to compare it to, unfortunately.
Wow.
So.
Well, I'm just going to say, all you negative people in this on this podcast, I'm really looking forward to it. So, nearly 40, but not yet, but not quite. Let's talk about some games we have played. Actually, no, we can't, because I was about to start with a game that I haven't played. Chris White, not here, obviously, and preview events have got different for websites and influencers now, and you can't go to an event because there's a virus out there. And I'll be honest with you, I've had 3 of these recently, one of which, Dirt 5 we had, and we can talk about that because the preview's gone up with that from Gary. Another one I can't talk about yet, but when you watch this or listen to this, there will be a preview up on the website of that game, and all I'm going to say about the game that I'm not even going to mention the name of is it made me smile when I didn't think I was going to smile that day. I was in a really foul mood, and I went to this preview event digitally, and I was like, I need this now, and I think you're going to probably understand some more of that when you see the video preview and the words. But another game that Chris and I did preview, but we haven't played, so unfortunately you still do have to have hands-off previews with some of these, is a game called Street Power Football. And I would say to people, go and have a look on godisageek.com for Chris's preview of that. This is an interesting game because I wonder, what I think they did say what price point they're going for, and I don't know if they said actually the actual price point or we have one in mind. Developers are making a game that looks part like FIFA Street, it looks part rhythm game. It looks part game designed to make my life as a football coach a living hell because they're promoting panners. If you don't know what panner is, it's a nutmeg over here, I guess. The ball between the legs, and that's going to, coaches already have to try and keep their legs together. Just Mick, hold that thought. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. But coaches already have to keep their legs together when it comes to football, because there's always a kid that tries to poke the ball through as a panner, and this is got a panner mode where you have to actually compete against your opponent online or offline, and you build up a power bar. It's basically it's a small outdoor football match, and on the sand, like in Brazil or somewhere, and you have to score a goal. You get points for scoring a goal, but you also, if you activate this mini game by getting your power bar all the way up, you go into a quick time event, and you have to succeed at that to panner them, and if you panner them you get more extra points for that as well, and you can actually panner them through their legs to then score a goal from it to get even more points. I will say that the actual football game the actual just matches didn't look, again, it was a bit like the Cyberpunk thing. I felt like I need to actually physically have a controller in my hand and feel how that felt, because it looked a bit weird. But all the rhythm game stuff looked cool. Like, you know, it's like street football. It's like just, you know, you're doing QTEs and rhythmic to the music to keep the ball up, to do tricks like round the worlds and stuff and all that. And it actually looks like a really cool game, like cartoon art style.
So is it like rhythm to like pass and stuff, or is it just to?
No. This is like, so there are separate. This is what makes me so interested in this game, is that there's so much to it. There is a football mode where you can play. I think it was 3-a-side. I think it was 3v3. No goalkeepers, outdoor, you know, street football. But also there is a separate mode, like the Pana mode is a separate mode, which is a football match with the mini game, and then there is another separate mode that is like freestyle, just doing tricks. Like I said, it's just a rhythm game, your music rhythm game, to do tricks. Really interesting, totally sort of left field idea, and they basically said, and this went straight on my flagpole, and I appreciate, you know, Adam and Mick, not huge sports fans, but you'll appreciate what I'm saying. One of the things I think someone in the preview session mentioned was games like NBA Jam. You know, they're not made now. Like that kind of sports game isn't made now. And they said no,
fun, just pure fun sports
absolutely,
games.
because like, the reason I don't play Madden anymore or NHL anymore, or in fact the one I used to love, the NBA games, the reason I don't play them now, they're too simulation based.
Very technical.
FIFA
See, I used to play NBA Jam.
That's what I mean.
I'm the same,
NBA Ballers, was it Ballers? Was another one?
Yeah,
that was an EA
Yeah.
one. That was great. That was kind of like a realistic feeling version of NBA Jam or NBA Street. It might have been. I can't remember. That was Ballers, wasn't it? And that was a great game. I think 1,000
I
G'd
remember
out on
FIFA
Xbox.
Street. Remember that?
FIFA Street, yeah, and they tried to bring that back, but again, because of the realistic nature of FIFA now, it didn't really take off like it should have. So I'm kind of impressed and interested to see this, because it's an arcade sports game, and I wish we had a few. It's the same for me with racers. Like,
Yeah, I was
gravitate
just about
towards
to
Burnout
say.
Paradise. Like, everything's gone. We have to show, like, you know, like next month, July. Well, yeah, July it'll be when they Xbox show their first party stuff. Like, you know, there'll be a racing game, like, and it'll probably be Forza 8, and
Does
that's going to
anyone
be
really
an old. Go on.
Does anyone fly the flag for those sort of
That's what I'm
arcade races?
saying.
I know, like
So
Burnout
that's
did,
it.
and
But
Need
that's-
for Speed, kind of. I mean, does anyone care about Need for Speed
But they
anymore?
even went down that route a little bit and became slightly more realistic. No, and that's even Forza Horizon. It's still based in realism, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I really miss, like, do you remember when? Christ, do you remember when Blur came out and Split Second, like in the same? You know, now you have to kind of go to Mario Kart if you want.
See, I
that.
pay real good money for a good
Absolutely.
a freshly made current gen Burnout. I know we talked about this before, but
It's never, yeah.
Blur
That's what
deserves
we
another
really
opportunity as well.
Blur was brilliant. It was Mario
Blur was
Kart,
great,
but modern graphics and realistic.
Yeah, it was really good.
But it was Mario Kart, and I don't know why it didn't do better. I remember, I think, played a demo of it, and I literally went out that day and bought the game in Tesco. I still remember, and it wasn't just me. My mate was around, and we were both playing this demo, and we both went to Tesco, got in a car, and both bought a copy of it, because even then they weren't prevalent. But yeah, this is what. So Street Power Football, I think, will be called Street Power Soccer in other territories, unfortunately. Looks cool, and I would like to play it. Other than that, I can talk about nothing I'm playing. So if anyone would like to take the floor before we get into listener correspondence, then the floor is yours.
I've not been playing an awful lot. I tell you what, I've been playing. I mean, I've been playing Destiny a bit, but we don't
been playing an awful lot. That's a complete.
Okay, I have. I've been playing. Actually, yeah, I could probably list. Like, I'll tell you what I could talk about. Right, I'll tell you what I've been playing. I've been playing a game because the embargo's just gone, called Phantom Covert Ops. Right, this is the kayak. This is a stealth sniper kayak simulator VR game.
In VR, yeah.
Now, and this was a really hard game to review. This has taken me weeks. I'm really glad they gave us it really early, because I'm shit with VR. Right, I get real bad motion sickness, and I can play Beat Saber because I'm standing still and I'm just pretending I'm a Jedi when I'm playing Beat Saber, and I can play like the climb and shit like that where I'm sort of in one place, and I can walk around VR worlds going and I played Half-Life Alyx, which is amazing. But this kayak game, Jesus Christ, I've never felt so weird. And it's a good game, don't get me wrong, very good game, really well made, it's gorgeous. Really precise as well. I mean, Oculus Rift is a really decent piece of kit when it comes to that sort of thing, and it's really precise. But you're basically a dude whose entire like modus operandi is that he's in a kayak. So like you're like a stealth Covert Ops agent, but you happen to have a kayak. I'm not sure how it works on land. You know, if ever you have to go and you've got to drag the kayak around, I'm sure that's like fuck up your stealth meter a little bit, but they don't make you do that. You just sit in a kayak. But you've got like I'm doing this because there's a camera in front of me, but I know people who are listening don't know that I'm doing this. But you've got like a gun on your chest. And you know, do you guys play VR a lot? I know Adam does quite a bit, but do you guys play much VR?
I've played a good bit of it.
There's this really cool thing. Like, I had the PSVR and I wasn't all that impressed with the PSVR in some elements because, like, the controllers, those Move ones, are pretty shit, I find. But the Oculus controllers are wonderful because you've got the triggers and they're very tactile.
Yeah, they are.
The vibration's great and the weight in them feels like you're holding something. And so you sat in a kayak, this is how you are, and you can look down and there's water either side of you and the kayak goes out in front of you and you've got your binoculars you can pick up and there's a gun here and a gun on your back that you can reach for and a sniper rifle. And I'm sitting in my living room just acting this shit out with my earphone. No one can even hear what's going on. So I'm just sitting there sniping people. Like I look like when I was 11 years old, I used to run around the village with my mate just pretending to play armies with like invisible guns. And I'm sitting there with sniper rifles. And that's all great. And how it starts is you're in like a helicopter and this guy's sitting there going, here we are, mission 0, blah, blah. And you get,
he's gone with the accents again.
And the thing opens and the kayak sort of sluices into the water slowly. And I thought, this is great. So I picked the gun up and I'm shooting. I thought, wow, this is really impressive. Really impressed by this. Pick up the paddle. In this heat, within like, I don't know, 4.5 minutes, I'm fucking knackered. Sweating buckets, sick as a dog because the water motion on Jesus! And I just turned it off, and I really wanted to play more, so I kept like every time I was playing something on the PC for the last couple of weeks, I'm like, put the headset on, right? Let's go, another 8 minutes of Phantom.
That's what took me so long to review Half-Life Alyx, because it's like I was just. There come to a point where like when you're in VR, you accept you're going to sweat. But there does come a point where you become re-aware of how sweaty you are, and you're like, I need to take this off.
I get sick.
Towel down, and then you pick it up again, and you're like, I'm not fucking putting that back on. This is soaked, and someone needs to come up with some sort of anti-sweat VR tech, or a diet. I suppose.
I tell you what, Half-Life Alyx is the only VR game I've played where I can move around, shoot, do all the stuff it's asking me to do, and not feel ill. For some reason, that game just doesn't trigger my motion sickness at all. And it's the only one. I think it's just really well made. But every other game I play, no matter what it is, no matter whether I sit down, I try not to move. Within a few minutes of motion, I start to feel sick, except for...
Imagine if you actually chundered while in VR. Like, that would be some mess to clear up because of the VR gear you've all got on.
Well, yeah, because you don't know where the fuck you are, because I'm standing in front of...
You don't know where you are, and you realise that your child's right in front of your face.
I do that all the time, like, bang, what was that? Was that a kid, or did I just hit a kid?
That's all right, I've got a few more.
4, you know.
Yeah, I've got 3 more.
But yeah, that VR, I try and stay in my little space, and and you know, like in Oculus...
You can't.
Yeah.
You end up. I've done it in this. This is a big room, and I started here, and somehow I end up. I'm on the sofa,
you draw that space around you. So when you look down, it's on the floor. You're like, right, I'm in the circle. 2 minutes later, it's like the fucking circles.
Yeah. Or when you turn around, and you've been turned around so much because you are playing a game like Half-Life Alyx, and then suddenly you're like aware, because obviously they've got like a big, almost Predator style cable. The Vive one is actually not bad for that. It's quite a slim cable, but the Rift has got a lot of cable.
Big ass cable. It sticks to your back.
And so with the Vives, like suddenly I become real wet. So again, like, oh yeah, the cable's there. I'm thinking, yeah, but I wasn't. And you take it off, and you're like,
yeah. And it feels like
facing the opposite direction.
And it feels like you've been teleported. You feel like you've been abducted by aliens. You like, I'm facing this way.
VR's
you
great.
open this, you're at the couch, like you just come through the fucking door, stars in their eyes. You know where you are. All the mist,
in the wall
especially if you wear glasses with VR.
Don't even.
You take it off and you just steam. But yeah.
It's, if you can get the glasses, so I find you have to put the glasses in the VR sometimes to get them comfortable, and then put
that's what I do, and then I have to fucking fiddle. See, the PSVR is really good because it's
the most comfortable.
Because that's basically like a diving helmet. You just like that just fits over anything. I think you could be wearing a full screen mask and still play the PSVR, but I haven't tried that. Probably will. But yeah, anyway, so Phantom Covert Ops. That's the main thing I've been trying to play.
Well,
recently.
shall we just jump into listener correspondence, or Chris? The thing is, I know I'm not letting Chris and Adam speak. I just know the only game they played is The Last of Us Part 2, and you're more than welcome to if you want. Chaps, we're obviously going to do a spoiler cast, but do you want to give? I mean, just so people because people might not listen to the spoiler cast for a while, so I think it'd be nice for people to get your impressions of actually what you think of the game.
I'll swing back round actually because I have a game that I've been playing that Adam might. I don't want to, I've been rambuting for quite a while, but I reckon.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Just didn't even finish the sentence there, Mick.
I just left
it.
Didn't
even. He just started working and just didn't even finish it.
I left it hanging. Well, I don't want to keep talking. I'm very aware that I hijack the pod every week and just fucking talk.
If I had brought attention to that, man, the people who were just listening are going like, I think Mick's just had a stroke.
Just shot.
He's just literally started. And then, oh, well, that's a weird edit Adam's made there. What on earth did Mick say? Nothing. He just completely.
I just stopped talking. I wanted a drink.
Yeah. No.
Okay, look, I'm gonna, because we are doing the spoiler cast. I'm gonna just give a brief one because I know people have been hearing about this game a whole pile and for good reasons.
Yeah.
I want to just backtrack slightly to the pod, which was maybe 2-3 weeks ago, probably Ed, when you were talking about it, and the embargo was lifted, reviews were out there, and you were explaining yourself, and I vividly remember sitting here kind of going oh my god, I have to wait a week, and this is going to happen. I would like to kind of probably congratulate you on holding back the level of stuff and emotions and just everything, because all day I've been planning. I've been in my head going, how will I talk about this?
How do you talk about this game?
How do I talk about this game? What do I say about it? And we'll go into full detail, obviously, more in the spoiler cast, but I am going to say straight out right now that this is the best game I've ever played.
There you go.
And I think...
By the way, commenters, don't worry, I'll forward this video to Sony. So
I'm actually...
No, if they do now, that really is going to backfire. So
Yeah. I think this is my favourite game of all time.
Wow.
And I have debated this since playing it and during it. There's so many things that happen throughout this game that I just feel like I need to cover all 25 hours of what I played, and then as soon as I finished it and credits rolled, I went New Game Plus, start again. I have never in my entire life done that with a video game. And literally credits rolling, I've spent just the 5 hours playing the last remaining part of this game, and it ends, credits are there, I had the controller down, I was looking at the credits going up, and I was just looking at every person's name that's associated with Naughty Dog, and I was just hero, 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 over and over and over again. There are things in this game, and I know people have repeated these things before that do like it, and there are things in this game that I honestly couldn't find the words to express what happened, and I was as I went through these motions, I was looking around by myself, kind of going, oh, Jesus, what is this? How is this happening? There were things that even happened in the gameplay that almost I felt was that just by coincidence that this just happened? That moment of unreal, kind of did that just happen on purpose, or was that just ridiculously good timing for my playthrough? It's the level of detail. We can go on about the story, and that's what I mean. So I'm not going to say
we will.
The beats
not
that are hitting the
so.
stories is a different situation. But in terms of what I can say, the detail that's in the game itself, I've never seen shit like this. And I think maybe it's because being a humongous movie fan and all this kind of stuff, there's just things that I kind of feel I just are seeing that. I'm not sure I see it because I watch films. No, it's just it just happens, and I notice these things, such as the moments of getting caught by enemies and running and hiding and trying to find your way through, right? My mind was blown, and out loud I was going shit when I would jump over a table and the glass would explode from a bullet hitting it. And you see these moments happen, and I think like the acknowledgement of that kind of detail is insane. I know there's other games out there that do these kind of things as well, but the level of polish and how the game just runs is almost flawless. It is flawless in my opinion.
No,
like the storytelling, and this is what broke my fucking heart in the end of it all as well, is that like when I finished this game, I was able to dive in afterwards to see what was spoiled months or weeks beforehand, and what are these user reviews that are getting such like negative comments.
Do you see what I mean now? Like people got their knickers in a twist about something that wasn't even true.
Yeah.
So I turned around actually today. I was in work and a person asked me, "Did I finish?" And I goes, "Yeah. Do you really want to get into this right now? Because like we could be here all day long."
Yeah.
I said very quickly. I went, "The Last of Us Part 2 is the definitive piece of media that exists in this world that I think in my head has clarified that the human race will never be happy as a group together ever again on anything. I don't think it's ever going to happen, because the nitpicking that's gone towards this game, not even nitpicking, just the slaughtering that's gone towards this game, the hatred, the petition and all that kind of stuff with the story. Like, I don't know what is going on here. Like, I just don't know what's happening with these situations. Like, for me, right, like, if you've played The Last of Us, if you were planning on playing The Last of Us Part 2, I actually know what, there is some people I know who actually still want to play it and they haven't gotten around to it, but the moment in the first 2 hours, which we have all experienced, all 4 of us here now at this stage, right, that's the one that got everyone's knickers in a twist, right? Now,
do you think that's the... Yeah, all right. No, I think so. I think probably it is. It's one of two things, but the second thing isn't true, so...
It is, right? What blows my mind, and I'm going to use this as well, is that like people got so angry over that moment, right? But when shit like that happened in the likes of Game of Thrones, everyone was like the next day going, last night's episode, oh my God.
Do you know what? Like, when you were... It was 2 weeks ago when you were talking about it, Adam. And when you were talking, and obviously listened and read to your review and everything, and we're talking about the step change in storytelling and kind of breaking boundaries and everything else around it. All in my head, I didn't want to say it on the podcast. We don't go, it's all about Game of Thrones because George R. R. Martin's a genius or whatever. But I was thinking exactly the same thing, because I love those books. The show a little bit, but the books very much the same. You think one thing about a character and then they're dead, and then you like a character, then you hate them, then you like them, and it's just nothing is as you expect. And this is what this feels like it's going to do. I've only played like 6 hours, so I've only seen certain things. But that was the vibe I got, and it's certainly the vibe that I'm getting. And you're absolutely right, Adam. Everyone praises that and lauds it for good reason in Game of Thrones, because it subverts expectation, and that's enjoyable because it's not just, everyone gets the happy ever after. There's a sense of realism that not everyone does, and everyone doesn't always end in a nice, happy way. There's always repercussions and things that you don't. It's not always nice, and people are like, "Well, that's a terrible story." It's like, no, that's a really good story if it's done well.
If they had experienced it, because until these spoilers came out, all those people were buying this game day one, and they would have experienced that as it was intended to be experienced, instead of just reading it as a sentence.
I want to know what people expected. Like, I had this conversation with you, didn't I? And I put some stuff on Twitter the other night, which I did delete because I did have a spoiler.
We're not going to spoil here before anyone worries.
Not going to spoil here. But I did, looking back at my own, because I read the leaks, I looked at the leaks, I looked them up, I wanted to know. I spoil stuff for myself all the time. Spoilers don't bother me. But I looked up the leaks when they came out, and I read through them and I thought, fucking hell, this is going to be hard. Some of this is going to be hard to play. I'm not. And I spoke to Adam after playing it, and I'm only a little bit into it, but I already know what happens. I know I'll spoil it for myself. I've not experienced it, but I know what's coming. And
just for the record, you still don't. I'm just telling you now. You even if you've read all of those spoilers,
oh, right. No, I'm not on about spoilers. I mean, I've read the fucking storyline. Yeah. I know. I've watched playthroughs and all sorts. I know what's coming. I don't know the feelings that are coming, but I've seen the.
to sort of zero in on something you said there, I must admit I'm not someone bothered by spoilers too much often.
No,
and I think
are.
the reason is because I can accept that a line of text is not the script.
Yeah, that's the thing. You
Game
see,
of
there's
Thrones,
the
I would
difference
always
between
have Game of Thrones spoiled for me before I watched it, because to start with, I was 7 series behind everybody else or whatever.
Yeah,
and the last series, it was on at like a time where I could not stay up and watch it. And if you went online, it was spoiled. And I'm not saying you, listener, reader, watcher, viewer, should be not angry about those, because we're all individuals and things bother us differently. But I never get bothered by them because they're completely without context, and it's the emotion of seeing the drama unfold that makes it good or bad.
Yeah. See, that's it. I couldn't work out what people wanted. Like,
this is the thing, right? Because I just like going through the first game again, right? I was like, this game, when that game came out, it was like game changing for people, and it was after raising the bar in terms of storytelling and just character development in ways. And like going through that game before 2, just the week beforehand, and then experiencing 2, like it's Last of Us 1 is this size. In terms of scope and story, and then 2 is just like, see ya. Like,
I tell you what,
imagine me playing that pre-release and thinking I was getting The Last of Us Part 2, and then as the game kept going, being like, this is, I mean, the scope, forget the story, forget the gameplay, forget everything. The scope of a game of this sort of grandeur, this scale, with that fidelity, with that attention to detail, it's astonishing. I don't care if you're angry about what you know or don't know about the story. The scope and scale. The last game
people calling it
was God of War.
Yeah, but the people calling this a bad game, like, you can say what you like. I get that some people were dissatisfied with the story, and I can understand why. I'm not going to pretend I don't. I can understand why some people, from a certain point of view, would have been upset by the story, and not just upset, but would have felt even maybe betrayed, because you can become really attached to characters. And I think, because I imagine, I thought to myself the other day, imagine if The Last of Us Part 2 was the third in the trilogy, and there was the one with Joel Ellie, and then before that there was one where you played as Marlene, the Firefly, trying to find do you know what I mean, the details and the cure, and then do you know what I mean? So the character that you play in a world like this, you can't expect there to not be.
I would just say, I think we're getting dangerously close to even alluding to things.
Yeah,
it's a 30-hour game, and we will do a spoiler cast. If you have got this far, we will do a spoiler cast. I want to do it. Adam wants to do it. Chris White wants to do it. I suspect when Mick and Chris finish it, they want to. We will do a spoiler cast. We won't spoil it in the regular podcast.
Just very quickly, just to summarise it overall, though.
Because Adam, what I'm hearing, by the way, from all of this is that I was right. And it's as much a surprise to me as it is to anyone else that I'm quite good at my job. But trust me, I'm tired. This is not. I would look more shocked, but I'm as stunned as you are that I'm good at my job. I know.
I think what Naughty Dog have done here has been just an absolute landmark of media. I think in terms of music, film, storytelling, every character. I love every single character of this game. I loved Adam, I know you were saying, but we were discussing it in text about the end and stuff, and we were going back and forth on bits. I won't say. No. There was not a second that I disliked of 2. There's just not a second. No game. This game made me cry 4 times.
Oh, I only got to 3.5.
4 times, and
twice already.
No, it's quite front loaded with the tears.
Am I just an ice queen then?
Yes.
Because I nearly went.
Well, you're posh. You've got no time for emotion.
No time for
stoic. He's stoic, Mick. He's stoic.
Yeah.
But I feel that that's just like what this game did to me, and I don't think if someone turns around and just like, oh, come on, it's not the best game ever made, blah, blah, I just think it is. There was a feeling. There was a feeling.
You're wrong.
You're just wrong. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just getting a text through. Tell Adam his Ferrari's in the post.
Yeah,
don't cheat this out on the podcast. Oh,
do you know? I'd love that.
Whoops.
Imagine if that was true. The amount of times in 10 years that accusation has been laid. Imagine if that was true.
Oh, I made a joke on.
Why the fuck would I still be doing it? Do you know what I mean?
I made a joke on Twitter that Neil Druckmann had bought every copy of The Last of Us Part 2 so that it got to number 1.
There's look, I'm just gonna...
actually that he paid everybody who bought it to buy it was actually the joke.
Oh, okay.
I just like, I think by the end of that game, there was something that just kind of in my head, I felt like that game was just made for me, and I don't think I knew that I was. I definitely did not know that I was going to be like feeling that way about.
See, that's interesting actually, because I don't feel that way when I'm playing it, which is interesting you say that, because I don't feel like that. All I keep thinking is, like, I've seen a lot of people who've said about how relatable Ellie is to them, and how like relatable Joel is, and how relatable we know there's another character. Abby,
you can say Abby, like Abby,
so we know, and some people have even said they relate to Abby, and they should, because she's a fucking really well drawn character in my personal opinion, right? But for me, I'm way outside this game. So even when I'm playing it and I'm in it, and I mean, I said to Adam, there's a bit where you sit and play a song and Take On Me, and that was it. That was like the second time I welled up at this game. So I'm in it. I'm fully immersed. I'm in it. But at the same time, for me, this is the equivalent of when I'm watching something. And I know that I shouldn't say that because everyone says, "Oh, it's just a movie game." That's horrible fucking label that they've been given to games like this. But that's what I feel like. I feel like when I watched something really great that really shook me, like, I don't know, The Departed for the first time or something, which I thought was just a fantastic film, and I couldn't guess what was going to happen throughout the whole of that film. And I feel like this again. And I know I'm in control of it, but I'm so shit that it doesn't matter, because I'm playing every combat encounter 8 times and stuff, because it pulls me out of it anyway. But yeah,
you will definitely feel something. I think it just comes in obviously different waves. Like you said something about the guitar, right? The guitar situation alone for me was just, I was just sitting there going, fuck it, I don't know what this is, but like I'm emotionally pulled. Like, this is that. There is, in the opening 20 minutes is when I first shed a tear. Like, opening 20 minutes, which, so you have experienced that moment, right? Yeah. And it's between,
that was the first
I won't
time.
say it's the first time, right? It's that song, it's those words, and I think it's the way Troy Baker sings it, it's the way it's delivered, because they deserve so much praise for their performances here. Everyone does in this game, but that
it's next
moment,
level.
That moment,
really
I'm even thinking of it right now, and the hairs on my body are standing up. Right, it's crazy, but like, it's the small attention to details as well, where when Ellie takes the guitar from Joel, right, and this is just, as I said, this is not a spoiler, this is just a thing, this is just one little tiny thing that I have to explain that happens, that I felt. She sits there with the guitar like this, and then it's just before you see The Last of Us Part 2, and she goes, boom. And when she hits the E string on the guitar, that's when the sub of the score goes, boom, boom, boom. And you're like, what? And I had headphones on, and I was just like, because that whole thing just happened between Joel and Ellie, and then we go through Jackson, and like, off we go. And the brutality of it, there's a lot of people who are kind of going as well, oh, I saw things where people are saying, no, the Naughty Dog standard of press L3 for them to look over at the destination, we have to go over there. What's the problem? What's the problem here? What's the issue here with this?
If that's the thing you're picking at, then you are reaching for criticism. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a criticism. It might be to you or them, but if that is what you're looking at, that is...
I think for me, if that's your problem, then you're just not really into Naughty Dog titles. Like, cause,
yeah, they've got a style.
Like, that's just their style, and that's the way it is. But like, look, we can get into more detail. Like, we will. There's so much I want to talk about, but this game has just, like, changed everything for me. Like,
I've never put the controller down and just watched the screen so many times. I think that's probably what I meant by the way. That's what it feels like to me. It's like the amount of times I've just already in like 6 hours, I've just put it down and just watched, and then when that little bit's ended, I thought I kind of don't want to play anymore. I want to just keep this moment happening.
I texted my girlfriend once it was finished, right? And she knew I was going through, and I was telling her bits and pieces of like what I was feeling, what I was going through with the game. Now she saw the trailers on TV and stuff. She was like, "Geez, that game looks so realistic and whatever." And I was like, "Yeah." So I was playing it, and then like it ended, and I was like, I got my phone. I was like, and I was like, oh, just like vibrating with so much to say. I was like, Jesus Christ! And then I was like, boom, send. And then next I saw was typing, and then cool. And I was like, you can't just do that. It's just, you know, I am so unbelievably just in awe. This game is the greatest thing I've ever experienced. Pow!
Let's move on to some listener correspondence on the back of that. Chris Hyde, sports fan. Hello, virtual high five. Is it time for Sorry, I left you hanging. Is it time for a really good arcadey tennis game? I really miss Virtua Tennis, says Thomas on Twitter. Just headbutted the mic a bit there, but let's not draw attention to that.
I mean, I think it's a bit like what we were saying. Sorry, it's a bit like what we were saying about the driving and the other games you were mentioning before about there's not really good arcadey versions of sports games. They're all very much gone down the realism route. I mean, tennis-wise, other than like Mario Tennis, not really been arcade tennis games. I have not really played a lot of them, to be honest. I don't mind them, but it's not really a thing other than outside of like the Mario games personally for me. But I get what he's saying because there is something about that more arcadey, title that there's just something fun about it. You know, the over the top smashes and stuff like that is just there's a fun element to it, isn't it? So I get it. You know, when I did the Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympics, which is a poorly timed game now, but you know, that tennis in that, you know, the volleyball and stuff in that is you know, it's great to play because it's just not taking itself too seriously. So I get it, but it's not. I don't know if other people have got a love for Virtua Tennis that I haven't got, but I don't know. Anyone else?
I used to play it.
Be up for tennis full stop because the last
I
few
like Top Spin.
haven't been. But the Top Spin was a different one to Virtua Tennis.
Oh yeah.
You had to sort of preload the shots almost. There's been a few tennis games recently that didn't seem to be, just seemed to be all right. Certainly not aces. And no one. Thank you, Mick. Thank you.
I was going to let it go because you didn't deserve a laugh for that.
No, I didn't. But I appreciate that. You know.
Well, I couldn't. I love a pun.
No, I would be up for some more tennis games, like no question. I'd love to see Virtua Tennis, and I'd love to see it on the Switch, if I'm completely honest with you, because I feel like those games could run on. The beauty about tennis games is you don't have to worry too much about like ultra high def graphics, because it's just, most of tennis when you watch it on the screen is one square rectangle.
It'd be great on the Switch as well, a tennis game, because they're just rhythm, aren't they? Tennis games when it's going well. Yeah.
Adam Carroll.
Yes.
EA recently pledged to support the Switch, but given the price of Burnout Paradise, I worry the games won't sell. EA won't learn any lessons and will probably conclude their games just don't sell on Switch. What do you and the team think of this?
How much is Burnout on Switch?
Full price, like 40 quid.
40 quid?
No, I think it was...
Much.
It's 50, isn't it? It's like 44.99.
45, didn't you say last week?
It's nearly 50 quid. Well,
that's absolutely diabolical. That's diabolical altogether. Well, isn't there just a weird thing though with the Switch? With the Switch
Nintendo
store,
tax.
It's just like it's just there. But the thing is, like, I don't know how EA don't really learn from things like this in terms of like purchases and all that jazz. So yeah, I don't know. Like, Burnout Paradise came on the Switch. I was like, cool. I was like, all right. I have it on PS4. Like, you know, you can buy that game for dirt cheap on a lot of other consoles. So I just feel like this kind of situation is kind of like whatever. Like, just bring it to a reasonable price. Like, people are going through a pandemic, for God's sake.
I don't think EA are going to give up Switch just yet, because I think they are very much trying to go through no, we're not that company that kept getting voted most evil corporation in gaming. They're very much trying to make themselves look like they're decent.
And they know games can sell on Switch. It's not like the Switch is a
Yeah.
tough sell. So
They wouldn't put it out on Switch if
Yeah.
they didn't think it was going to sell on Switch.
Exactly.
Although that price is really putting people off.
Yeah.
I would
You've
have
got
bought
to
it if it was
really
20
want
quid.
Yeah.
And if it had come out at the same time as the PS4 and Xbox One version as well, I think it would have had a better chance at full price. But this is like, even in the review, it's like I can't not say that this is a great game because I've played it and it's fantastic and it works and it's brilliant.
But you can't charge it that much for the.
It's too much.
When did that game come out?
Over 10 years ago, 2008.
I'm sorry,
9?
but go away with
No,
it.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
It's kind of, there's no justifying it.
20 quid, even
No.
25, maybe.
I'd love
Because
to
it's
know.
good.
I'd love to know how it's sold though. How it is even selling on Switch.
Yeah, I mean, there's not
I
a
bet it's
great
doing
deal
all
of
right.
Like imagine
that
being
kind of racer of that quality. Certainly not of that quality on Switch.
Yeah.
So
Imagine if someone bought it not knowing that this game was that old and it exists on other consoles.
This is
Would
the
still
weird
play
thing,
well.
though. Surely EA know that most people that want... I say most people, I'm generalising and guessing it, but surely they know that a great percentage of people who are going to want to play that game have probably already played it somewhere.
yeah, but how many people buy games on Switch, man? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. So why make it full price? Why not?
because they
Because they
probably
They'll buy
Yeah.
it if they want it. It's
They
like the
probably
price
have
of
the-
portability, isn't it?
they probably
Yeah.
have the market research to prove
Money,
that people
money,
will buy
money.
it anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
it prints money, as the Nintendo meme goes. Let's stick with price. Other than price, the question is, what could Sony do to convince you, podcast team, to go for the all-digital PS5?
Absolutely.
Deliver it in my Ferrari.
Of course, yeah.
You- I don't.
I have
Nothing.
not put a disc in my PS4 for a great long time.
Yeah.
However, it's a very much we write about games, video games. So I've not I mean, I've bought games on other consoles, but I've not had to buy a PS4 game
I
on
hate
a disc
using
for a
discs.
long time. And to be honest with you, I've got to the point now where if I do buy a game on PS4, I'll go digital. I
Yeah,
love.
I'm too
being able
lazy
just
to
switch
switch
between-
discs.
Yeah,
It's
same. I
fucking- it's
love
just a
the
pain in
digital
the
age.
And the PS4 Pro, if you leave a disc in it, every now and again it just goes fucking mental at you. It's like, it's not worth it. I can't be bothered. I'd rather just have it digital.
I did just buy the big Last of Us 2 Collector's Edition, and
See, I wanted that, and I really regret not getting
that's
it.
like the holy grail now after playing that
Yeah,
game.
that's the thing. I knew it was going to be good going in, or I had a
It's
feeling
actually-
it would be. I didn't
do
know
you
it was
know
going to be that good.
Do you know what it is? It's like I have my pillow, right? So I'm like this, and the box is like right here. So I'm literally staring
goes to
at
sleep
Ellie's
straight
face
in
as
it,
I
yeah.
sleep. Yeah, I'm like, I love you.
Mr. Hyde, digital PS5.
I'm the other end. They'd have to, I don't know, bring me a Ferrari if they want me to buy a digital
So
only
it's
console.
literally you and Adam against me and Mick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the little boxes. I love the little boxes.
So
Yeah,
do
I
I,
like having them on the shelf, but
Yeah,
I don't.
Absolutely. I mean,
I don't
you know,
buy them if I have the choice.
I just, there's, I don't know. If I've got a box, I feel like I've got something.
Yeah.
Like, not that I don't think I've ever sold a game, so this argument's a bit moot, I suppose. But like, if I wanted to sell it, I can. I can't sell a code.
no. But like over there's a copy of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 on disc, and didn't they pull that game?
Yeah. Isn't it
Like,
Bum Bum?
Yeah, but still, I could play it.
Yeah, I know, but you like.
It's genuinely just off screen.
Yeah, but
just
like-
here. But, like, I'm pretty sure didn't they pull that game down? Didn't they actually remove that game? Can you not? You can't buy that digitally now. Am I imagining that? I'm sure they did with Pro Skater 5.
Is that doing people a favor?
But that's not the point I'm making, Ad. You know, I can play that. I remember that game having a bigger patch than the actual disc version of the game was. It was like 7 gig install and then 9
That
gig
was
patch.
shocking.
Brutal.
But
Are you getting digital? Are you? That's actually.
oh, it depends on the price. If it's 50 quid cheaper, yep. If it's 100 quid cheaper, definitely.
Yeah.
It won't be 100 quid cheaper.
I
No,
don't
I
think.
don't think that. No, it won't be.
I don't think I would necessarily say I want the digital version. It would come
I
down to
prefer
price.
the look of the disc one.
Because what I would hate
I
to
also
do.
really
is-
like the look of the PS5. I'm just gonna. Oh god, it really is gonna sound bad, this podcast, isn't it? But I really actually, when I first saw it, I was like, But the longer and more I've seen it, it's like I fucking really like that. Like, there's a
Yeah.
picture of the guy walking out like the factory with one, I guess, and I was like, that's massive. I love that. It's huge.
Yeah.
These are gaming PCs in Sony boxes and Xbox. They've got to be big. And I'll tell you what, if it makes the PS5 quieter, it can be the size of an actual human, as far as I'm concerned.
As long as it doesn't. My PS4 Pro sounds like a tugboat going by.
That's what I mean.
So, yeah.
Anyway, Chris.
Someone can get it in the living room, you know.
Well, that's right, yeah. Chris, if you had to stick to one genre for the rest of your gaming days, what genre and why?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Oh, right, okay. There's a few going around in my head.
Give us a couple of them.
The RPG is the first one that comes into my head.
Really?
I know.
It'd be the furthest away on my list, I think.
I know.
Isometric dungeon crawler. And
well, that Mick, I could have answered you.
I'd
have
guess
just said
that.
Diablo.
I don't even need to
Diablo
talk
would be
about
fine.
Yeah, okay.
Diablo or Destiny.
That's fucking boring, yeah. Give me a looter. Give me a looter forever.
Loot shooter.
Just
I think we should guess each other's, maybe, but go on, Chris.
Just because, like, obviously, each one, it could be like, I don't know, 60, 100, however many hours, and you just get invested in the story. I just think I'd get bored later if I wouldn't get bored as quickly if I had that genre, just that genre. And I know I enjoy them.
See, I would because there's a lot of them nowadays, and they don't stand out as much as they used to. But that's fine. So you going with RPG?
I'll go with that. It's the one I went to first, although I'll probably a little regret it. But yeah, I'll go with that one.
Okay, Mick, we know like looter basically.
Yeah.
Adam,
The Last was Part 2 genre.
Mate,
That's it. Every game that way.
I mean, I tend to go for those games nowadays, like the God of Wars, The Last of Us Part 2, upcoming. You got Ghost of Tsushima. That sort of. I tend to go for those.
I love those.
Well, I wouldn't say open world games, but they kind of all sort of are ish.
But then you see, like it's hard. Like I just love the adventure style, like Zelda and stuff like that. Obviously, but it's just hard. Like if I truly had to stick to one style of game, though, I think it is that kind of Last was kind of thing.
I didn't think I'd be the only one to say this. I really thought Adam would say platform games.
It depends. Yeah. Platform is thrown around a lot for games that I'm like, you can't give it that title. Like some platform games.
The thing is what I'm saying is by not picking platformers, you are excluding yourself from ever playing a new Mario game ever again.
Of course.
I can't do that. But
I was
playing
Mario
3D World the other day, and that game's glorious.
Adam, don't worry though, we have Mario Odyssey. It's the best Mario game ever made. So
but you won't be able to play it ever again.
I have it. I bought a physical.
No, you can't. That's not how this works.
It does work.
Pretend it's a semi-open world RPG.
Doesn't say in the question.
It kind of is. It's got a big open world. Each level's a big open world. You have to collect stuff.
There's coins to collect and outfits.
Yeah.
I'm there. I can include that.
It's a loot Mario, a loot platformer. Ooh. Hey, might cut that bit. That's a loot platformer. Given that Microsoft and Sony previously jumped on the motion bandwagon with Kinect and PlayStation Move, are you surprised that they have ignored the hybrid aspect of Switch with the new consoles? So what this is suggesting is that Nintendo are out there, they're selling millions, and they've gone the hybrid version. No, absolutely not. Because
not at all. Sony tried it with the Vita. They sent it out to die. I know it wasn't the same, but it kind of was, because you could use the Vita as a handheld to play your PS4 on, because I used to play Destiny exclusively when I couldn't get to the TV. And, so they've sort of, I don't think they wouldn't sell a fucking unit, would they, if Xbox tried to do that? I
mean, Xbox are doing that with xCloud. You just don't need the hardware for it. You've already got the hardware.
Mm.
So
that's true.
I mean, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that, but no, I'm not surprised.
I think if they'd have announced like a Sony equivalent of a powerful Switch, they'd have been laughed out of town. I feel like I don't know.
Imagine if they called it that as well. The PlayStation Switch.
Sony Switch.
That'd be amazing.
I don't see why they couldn't. I don't think you can copyright. I don't think that word Switch is copyright, and it is the Nintendo Switch. That would be amazing, and the Xbox Switch as well.
PlayStation Switch.
Stadia Switch.
Yeah.
Stadia Switch.
Stadia Switch off.
Switch off. Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one because I can't tell my story here. What is the biggest playground whopper you have ever heard? He said, Thomas is from Thomas again. I was at school with a guy who consistently maintained his dad knew Hulk Hogan.
I've got a couple of these actually. Not necessarily school, but I know some grade A bullshitters. Some really good ones.
Mine are very rude, so I'm going to try and think if I can. You talk, Mick, and I'm going to think if there's a way I can tell it without it being vulgar.
Okay, I used to work with the South African guy, right? I mentioned him actually last week. Sith Ifritin.
Oh, get ready to the mute you, Mick.
I know. And he told us once that he wrestled a shark. And he honest to God, he had a scar on his leg. And
Well, that would be the shark bite, obviously.
The guy was a unit, right? This guy, I worked with him for quite a while.
Wrestle a shark.
And he was a fucking unit. Like he had muscles on his fingers, and he was a lovely guy though. But he was full of shit. And he told us, I used to go surfing in Johannesburg, and apparently one time he was surfing in Johannesburg, and a shark bit his leg. And instead of panicking like a normal person or reacting like a normal person, he instead beat the shark until it swam away in the water. Now, see, there was I saw a guy in the news recently. Do you see that?
Fucking hell, for a minute there, I thought that was a joint.
No.
For a minute, I thought Mick had a joint in his hands.
I never have.
Accents are one thing, mate, but
I never have partaken. But no, there's this guy who was in the news recently. I saw it on Twitter, this fella, and he was a big, muscular guy, and he wrestled a shark. A shark swung by him, and he fucking caught it by its tail. And have you seen it? Did you see that video? It exists. No. I didn't dream it. It wasn't when I was smoking my labels. He genuinely caught a shark and wrestled this shark. So it probably could have happened, but this guy was adamant back in the day. That's how he got bit. He got bit.
So I'm not sure if he is lying then.
And it was, but the story was essentially that he got bit, and he actually
got bitten, and then just like
picked the shark up while bleeding, and to protect the other swimmers,
put it out of the water like that.
Just fucking beat the shark until it couldn't hurt anyone anymore. I don't know whether that was true, but
until it couldn't hurt anyone anymore. Dead.
He killed the shark.
Yeah. I'd have fucking teach him.
Is that why you like man-eater so much?
Probably, yeah.
Right.
I get revenge for
anyone wanna? Okay.
I'm really struggling with this one, if I'm honest. I'm trying to think of the whoppers. I can't think of anything. Nothing's coming to mind.
I don't think I can tell it, and I don't even know that it's as funny in this day and age. So I'm just gonna have to say I've got a guy who would, let's just say a gentleman I used to frequent. That sounds wrong as well. A guy I used to go out with. No, I used to go drinking with a chap, and
got there.
Yeah, he had made claims about his sexual proclivity. No, his sexual activity, I would say more. And he got in the car and he told me this really vulgar action he had done, been part of.
Color me intrigued.
Yeah. And then and I was like, I'm
fucking
driving.
Tell?
And he just tells me this happened last night. I was like, oh, fucking hell, mate, you really think I'm that kind of man, and I'm not. Then the next week he gets in the car and goes, hey. And by the way, this thing he told me was like for the first time I've done this. So you can probably think where it's going. And he gets in the car. Literally the week later, we went out for a drink every weekend. And he gets in the car and goes, hey, you never guess what happens for the first time. So he told me that he did this thing for the first time twice, 2 weeks running. And it's like, I didn't really believe you the first time, but you're definitely bullshitting if you did it for the first time twice, aren't you? I mean, just fill in the blanks as to what you think it was. Comments below. What do you think it was? This guy told me it was that. And whatever you say it was that.
I have different mates to you. My mates have got no boundaries. My mates would just come in the pub and be like, how are you? I got me brown badge last night. Yes.
So just for the record, you don't need to guess anymore because that is exactly what it was.
This is we stood next
2 weeks
to him,
running.
And we just go.
Yeah, no, I think he was in the car as well at one point when he said that. No, that is fucking hell. That is the exact thing he said to me 2 weeks running for the first time. I've just done that, and yeah, a whopper, so to speak.
Yeah,
Adam, rescue us before we can get taken off the air.
You heard these stories on a playground, is it?
Oh no!
Oh shit!
No,
yeah, no, you say that. No,
I did say it wasn't the playground story.
Yeah, no, this was just.
So it was
like I was
you want to take your kids away from that place, I'd say.
No one spoke to me at school at all, so it's just.
Yeah, no, I totally missed the playground.
So
I was driving.
Going to the actual question, you see, the problem is here.
Mick, really? Both of us went for things that weren't kids.
Yeah, see, I don't go to the playground because I don't have kids, so I don't know. I don't have these stories.
No, but I mean, when you were a kid, though.
No, it doesn't mean you went to visit a playground
No.
with kids when you're an adult.
This is when you're a kid.
When you're a kid.
Oh,
You know, my Nintendo.
We're all reading this question wrong.
My uncle works at
just
Nintendo.
you.
Leaning
thing.
over playground fences saying, "What did you get up to last night?"
Oh yeah,
Do you think this was about you going to the playground and lying to children?
No, I thought this was you.
Oh,
guys,
that's a great question, though.
Us going to the playground with our kids, sitting there, and then your kids are mingling with other kids, and you can hear their conversation. That's
Then they start talking about sex.
well, that's what you fucking started saying.
Yeah.
Brown badge!
Like, I was at school with a guy who consistently maintained. Oh, he was at school with a guy. Ah, now I get it. No, I've no story.
No, and that's the podcast for this week, I think. If you did enjoy this podcast, you can get it early on patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Go there, you get early videos, early access to everything. We've got our own Discord. We're going to start doing some live streams to Discord soon. Chris and myself, and I don't know if Adam's going to be involved or not, or Chris White, or maybe even Mick, but we're going to start streaming directly to Discord because why not? It's actually works really well.
I'm only streaming The Last of Us.
Astroneer, mate.
You
Come
can do that,
back.
but it's going to be Astroneer. We're going to just, I mean...
I actually want to go back to Astroneer.
You need to, yeah, because we're like nearly at the end of the game. Like, there is an end to that game, by the way. I think you carry on. Oh, yeah. Mate, you've missed a lot. This isn't the time for that part.
Thanks for the text.
Hey, yeah, fucking thanks for the text. I'll put a screenshot. This is the image for this video of me saying, anyone for Astroneer tonight, every week. Made me angry now, Adam. Patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. That is where you can find early access competitions. We do swag bags, which I've got to get on. Actually, I need to do that very soon. I've been avoiding the post office because I've been avoiding people because I don't want to catch anything. The virus. If you also could subscribe to us on youtube.com/GodIsAGeek. Really appreciate that. Especially the thumbs up. Get the old notification bell for this video if you like us. Really helps us. Genuinely. I know people are... But it actually really... That's exactly the voice they use, by the way. It really does help if you hit the bell button. It helps sort of push the things you like into perhaps other people's feeds, and then they can discover us, and we can do cool stuff. Maybe I haven't got any ideas right now, but it's...
They'll come.
They'll come. They
We've
always
got
do.
We've got loads in the bank. Don't you worry about that. It's all
So
up
many
there.
potential jokes, and I'm not going to make any of them. Chris, Adam, Mick, thank you for being here on the podcast. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for
Never
having
a
me.
chore, apart from when I have to edit out all the horrible things Mick said on this episode.
I was bad. I was naughty this week. I might.
And the thing is, I'm not actually going to edit any of that out. So now they're probably wondering.
Well, your
did
answer
he?
to that last
Or
question was
did he?
absolutely bait all.
Yeah.
Bait.
Thank you for watching, listening. Just generally, thank you for being a part of what we do. We appreciate it. You can send us questions on Twitter @GodIsAGeek. You can email us at podcast@godisageek.com. Any social media, Instagram, Facebook, you can find us GodIsAGeek. Send us questions. I did have one in a YouTube comment and I've forgotten to answer it, so maybe we'll get to that next week. Thank you very much for watching, listening, or reading, and we'll speak to you in the next podcast, which will be whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.